Hey D's fans, welcome to Before the Bounce for Round 8. It is our first of 5 games in the next 3 weeks, and we're currently in Gold Coast where we've stayed overnight to avoid that 2-hour bus trip before the game. So the boys will be nice and fresh, ready to head off to Metricon Stadium, but first, as always, we have to do a little preview of the game ahead. Of course, Aaron Vandenberg is out with that fractured cheekbone. He's expected to miss 2 matches after having surgery on Tuesday, paving way for Nathan Jones's return. This means Tom Mcdonald hasn't earned a spot in the 22, showing that Simon Goodwin's really trying to build that continuity among the group. And I think it's working. I just want to show a couple of examples last week of where the boys were much more composed than they have been in the past. This first one here with Harmsy, you see him looking bored, there's no real option, so then he steadies his head and hits up a target down the line. The more the boys play together, the better they'll get at this, and if there's some rain around this evening, the decision making will become all the more important. Now it's time to chat to an in-form man, Sam Wiedemann. Thanks for your time, Sammy.
Thanks for having me, Fib.
First thing first, that shiner is still quite impressive. Any pain during the week?
No, it was just, nothing structurally damaged, so all good, just a nice little bruise.
Now you played with Luke Jackson for the first time last week, quite a young forward setup. Did you enjoy playing alongside him?
Yeah, I did. He's a very exciting talent. It's great to have a young man coming through with so much energy and so much height, and it's just electric to watch. So it's a pleasure playing alongside him, and hopefully he just keeps growing and keeps helping us put wins on the board.
Tommy Mcdonald didn't get picked today. I heard he kicked 4 in the match sim on Friday, which is a great result, but a good show of faith in you two to go at it without Tommy?
Yeah, it is. I think, we worked quite well together, me and Lukey last week, so I think we can just hopefully carry that momentum forward, and it's great to see Tommy kicking goals yesterday. I think, hoping to find some form, which he did. So it's just great for the footy club and great for the forwards, getting some form together. We
scored plenty of goals out the back last week, a few in the goal square. Is it a real focus to move the ball quickly and find those open looks?
Ball movement's it's been a bit off at the start of the year, but now we're starting to find our flow. It's been much better, and we're starting to get a few easier looks to goal. It felt like earlier in the season we were probably working really hard to get our goals, and now they're coming a little bit easier off the back of some of the great work by the defence and the mids, so making it easy for us.
I dare say you'll have a battle on your hands with Harris Andrews, who is one of the best defenders and best players in the competition. What are you expecting from that today?
It's going to be a tough challenge. He's a very experienced defender, very talented and having a great season. So it's going to be a great test for me and Jacko to try and nullify his involvement. So it's going to be a test, but we'll be up for it, and hopefully we can really shut him down.
And it'll be your first run on Metricon Stadium. Are you looking forward to sussing out a new facility?
Yeah, I am. It's I think I've got 2 more to tick off, and this is one of them. So I'm looking forward to playing on there and seeing what it's like. It looks like a great ground, so very excited to get out there.
Thanks for your time, Sammy. Go well today.
Awesome. Thanks, Fib.
Just before we hear from Greg Stafford, we're going to do a little bit of an Oppo watch. Brisbane have made just the one change, but it is quite a big one, with Steph Martin out with that back injury and Archie Smith coming in to join Oscar McInerney in a ruck battle with Max Gawn. But what I want to talk about with the Lions is their chaos brand of footy. They're second on the ladder for a reason. They average 74 points per game, and their forward line is really quite dangerous. They get the ball inside 50 quickly. The likes of Hipwood and McStay, they create a contest, and their small forwards cause havoc at ground level. We know Hipwood gave us a few headaches last season. He kicked 5 goals against us. But Charlie Cameron, he's the real danger man. He's kicked 13 for the season, so keep an eye out for who gets that matchup this evening. Now it's time to hear from our ruck and goal kicking coach, Greg Stafford. Steph, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
I've just touched on the loss of Steph Martin for the Lions. That's a big one heading into a midfield battle like this, isn't it?
It is. He's a quality player, but Archie Smith will come in. He's a big-bodied ruck, and he'll combine with McInerney, so we won't be taking them lightly at all.
I feel like Christian Petrarca's received a lot of credit recently, but Max Gawn's form really can't be undermined. How impressive has he been?
Oh, well, his form's been very good for a long period of time, and I think what we're seeing in Christian is what Max has been doing for a long time, and that's his work rate's been incredible. His attention to detail and what he puts into the game is clearly what he's getting out of it at the moment.
You're also in charge of goal kicking. Over the last 3 weeks, we've kicked more goals than behinds. Are you happy with how that's tracking?
Oh, look, we've got a long way to go. We've come a long way, and I'm really happy with the way the boys are training. I'm more sort of interested in the way they focus training and how they're getting that done. Clearly, if we get that done the way we're trained, well then eventually results will speak for themselves.
How much time is spent on it on the training track?
It's scattered throughout training all the time. We're very fortunate to have a senior coach that understands the importance of that, and he's very accommodating in giving us time to actually get that done.
And how much do you feel like goal kicking is dependent on where they're marking the ball and the quality of shots that they're getting?
Yeah, clearly if you're getting easier shots on goal, you should be expecting to hit the scoreboard more often than not. One of the advancements we've made in recent weeks is our expected accuracy, so that takes into account wherever we're kicking from, and we've performed very well at that lately. So the expectation is that regardless of whether you are on the ground, you go through your own process, the one that you've designed for yourself, and execute that on game day, which at the moment the boys are getting done very well.
Hopefully we see that today. Thanks for your time, Steph.
Pleasure.
Now, just before we wrap things up here, I want to give you a couple of things to look out for. One thing I thought we did really well last week against the Hawks was slow them down in transition and force them down the line. Now, that's the first thing I want to focus on today. Brisbane are a fast-paced team, so it may be difficult to slow them down in full flight, but if we can replicate some of these efforts, it'll go a long way to us winning the game. We're expecting dewy conditions, so it might not be as easy to take these intercept marks, but if we can get the ball out of bounds, reset, that'll give us a chance to win the ball back from the stoppages. Secondly, I want to almost challenge you to spot something in the game that you wouldn't usually see, something the coaches might be happy with that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Jay Lockhart's a good example. His role in the side isn't necessarily understood by everyone. He tackles well, he spoils well, but it's efforts like these from last week where he runs from the centre of the ground to block off this switch of play from the Hawks. You can't see it until the very end here where McAvoy comes in frame and then Lockhart's there as well. But from behind the goal's vision, Lockhart runs at full pace, covers about 100 metres just to block off this kick. It stops the Hawks from going and running on up the field. So it's efforts like these that help slow the opposition down, allow us to get numbers behind the ball and really help out with that first point that I was making. Try to keep an eye out for some defensive efforts like these today. That's all from Before the Bounce. We're about to head off to Metricon Stadium, so stay tuned for some social coverage throughout the evening.